The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-23. The team is now 6-2 and they are on a 4-game win streak post the bye week. And this game had it all: reverse hurdles, one-handed touchdown catches, game-winning interceptions. We're going to talk about it all because the Eagles, they squeaked out a win against the Jaguars, another bad team that the Eagles are squeaking out a win against. But again, there was a little phantom fumble call. So, I don't know. I don't know how to, I felt like the Eagles dominated this game again. And I know that the final score doesn't reflect that, but I felt like the Eagles won this game pretty handily. There was a weird moment there where it did feel like the Falcons game where, holy, we were up the whole game and all of a sudden this team could drive and win the game. And maybe this speaks to the difference between Kirk Cousins and Trevor Lawrence, or maybe it speaks to the growth of the defense that the Eagles came out and won this game. I want to talk about two players here first, and then we're going to get into the game recap. Of course, the first player being the same guy that we talk about first every week, and that is Saquon Barkley. 199 total yards of offense, 159 rushing, 2 touchdowns, and of course, he had the crazy, magnificent hurdle play. Saquon given a real opportunity with a good offensive line and not in that Giants, hellhole of an offense, has actually shown to me that he is the most talented running back in football this season. And just overall, I think, Derrick Henry's got the power, CMC, he's got the pass catching ability. But I think in terms of athleticism and pure talent, I'm taking Saquon Barkley. Saquon in multiple spots in this game really took over, was just ripping the chunk plays. He is so freaking explosive out the gate, man. Like when you see Saquon hit that hole, he just bursts through it. Pause. But Saquon is that guy. And we have had decent running games in the past years with Miles Sanders the Super Bowl year, DeAndre Swift last year. But none of these running backs have even come close to looking as good as Saquon Barkley. This is a premier playmaker in the NFL, and I really do believe that this past offseason, the contract that Howie Roseman gave Saquon Barkley is going to look back and be like, wow, that is one of the best value contracts in the NFL. And the second player I want to talk about is Jalen Hurts, because I think it's time that we start having Jalen Hurts for MVP conversations. I might make a full video on this, but talk about a fantastic game yesterday. 307 all-purpose yards, 3 total touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and a 132.3 passer rating. A guy who was missing AJ Brown for part of this game, felt like he made the play every time he needed to. The ground game, his rushing ability looks like it is back to that 2022 form. All of last year, he was dealing with a bit of an injury, and even this year, he started off slow, but since then, Jalen Hurts has looked really, really excellent. Since the bye week, this guy has 12 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and has this team at a 4-0 record. Listen, if the losses fall on the quarterback, I'm giving him credit for the wins too. Obviously, it's been a team effort for Philly, but Jalen Hurts has been an absolute star. Before we talk about the game recap, let's get a word from our friends at Green Gridiron. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my friends over at Green Gridiron for NFL helmets. You can see here the nice face mask, the sweet design. I got the black Eagles helmet. I kept it in the container because I use it as a little desk decor, but you could use it as desk decor, decoration around the house, a little knickknack for, your TV stand. The gift giving season is almost upon us. If you know an NFL fan, it doesn't even have to be Eagles. They've got all 32 teams, NFL partnered brands. You know that you're getting good quality stuff. Be sure to check out the link in the description. I'll also have it as the pinned comment. But thank you to my friends over at Green Gridiron. Go get you a helmet today. All right, so I kind of want to go through the game here, just big play by big play, and give my thoughts. You're going to see me checking my notes a lot here, but I think this is the best way for me to do game recaps going forward. So the big play to open up the game was Sidney Brown forcing the fumble on the opening punt. Obviously, that led to the Eagles getting excellent field position, but talk about a player, Sidney Brown, who last year the Eagles had to have as a starting safety, but this year, obviously, they draft DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. They bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and it's just a very loaded secondary. Sidney Brown, now in that gunner role, plays on special teams and just puts his head down and makes a hell of a play. He just came back from injury a couple of weeks ago, so shout out to Sidney Brown for this play. Obviously, the Eagles capped it off with their first quarter points on the season, which is crazy to say, but Jalen Hurts with a beautiful touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley. It was actually the same play that they ran week 1 against the Packers to get their first touchdown of the year, except it was flipped. Saquon was at the other side, makes a really nice toe tap catch. Jalen Hurts on the money throw, right in the breadbasket. Perfect. Eagles are up 7-0. And then a couple drives later, the Eagles get a field goal, and it is a 10-0 lead. And you start to feel like, all right, this is going to be pretty similar to that Giants game where the Eagles are just rolling. And then near the end of the first half, Zach Bond, who has just been a freaking great addition to this team. I mean, you talk about another value contract. Zach Bond at the linebacker. The guy gets a ton of tackles. He's a secure tackler. And now he's getting interceptions, which leads to the Saquon touchdown on that draw play on like 3rd and 17. I don't know what the Jaguars defense was doing on that play. I want to give credit to the Eagles. I really do. But that was just defensive malpractice to give up 20-something yards on a draw play on 3rd and 17 for a touchdown, but we'll take it. Philly goes up 16-0 at halftime, and you're like, okay, this is going to be one of those dominant Eagles wins. It's going to be exactly what it was versus the Giants. That's how I was feeling at that point. That's how you were feeling at that point. And, you know, the Eagles came out and went up 22-0 to start the second half. Jalen Hurts has a really good rushing touchdown. I was really worried that there was going to be an injury to Jalen on that play because I believe it was Cisco on the Jags goes low on Fred Johnson, and then you got Fred Johnson falling right before Jalen, and Jalen kind of does like a somersault over him. Really wild play, could have been dangerous. Thank God it wasn't. Fred Johnson got back out there. He seemed like he was good to go. Jalen Hurts got back out there. Obviously, he was good to go. But Philly, at this point, up 22-0. What could go wrong? The Jags switch up their offense. They start to go a little bit no huddle, a little fast tempo, and it works. It creates a bit of a spark. It leads a touchdown drive. Trevor Lawrence on a run, plus a 2-point conversion of Brian Thomas, and all of a sudden we're at 22-8. But I'm thinking at that point, you know, we're fine. We've been dominating this game. AJ Brown did leave with an injury at this point, and I'm like, you know, it sucks that we don't have AJ. We probably won't run up the score, but Saquon's been dominating. The ground game has been dominating. You know, you're not going to hold these NFL teams scoreless each and every game. You're bound to give up some offensive touchdowns. And the next drive, we get the not a fumble, but a fumble return for a touchdown. And this play was just really wonky because I thought Saquon very clearly was tripped up by the Jags defender who grabbed his calf. It led him to kind of bump into his own offensive lineman, trip and fall, elbow clearly down, ball comes out, and they rule it a fumble. And, you know, this is one of those really wonky plays because it wasn't a fumble, but plays like this happen in the NFL. You know, a couple weeks ago versus the Browns, we had a similar situation where there's a field goal block return for a touchdown, and all of a sudden this is a much closer game than it needs to be. That had the exact same feeling here. It's happened twice to the Eagles now, but it's returned for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, you know, it is 22-16 after another successful 2-point conversion. And we're like, shoot, here we go again. And then the ensuing drive from the Eagles ends on a 4th down, go for it, 4th and 1. So the Eagles went for a lot of 4th downs in this game. They went for some 2-point conversions. I know some Eagles fans weren't happy about it. Listen, this is this team's identity. They're an aggressive team. They're going to go for it on 4th down, especially 4th and short. You're going to love it when it's successful. You're going to hate it when it's not. I'm not here to dispute each and every single time they've gone for it. They're going to go for it. I get it. That's who the team is. You know, it's time to just kind of accept that fact of who it is, because not only does Sirianni like doing it, but the team is bought into it. Okay, so everybody in that building is a big fan of the analytics of going for it. However, this 4th and 1 call to have the rollout play that is just, I hate this play at all level. I hate this play on the goal line. I hate watching this play in college. They run it a ton, where everybody just shifts to the right, because if it's not open immediately, the play's cooked. There's no scramble out and make a play out of it. There's no maybe something can develop. If it is not an immediate success, this play is cooked. I hated this play call on 4th and 1 especially, but I just hate this play call in general, because a lot of teams run it by the red zone, and it's like there's so much condensed space there that it's almost never open. I rarely see it successful. You see it more successful in college because a lot of these times these players aren't obviously pro built, but hate the play. But the Eagles defense stepped up. They forced a punt, so you got to respect that there. And then we saw the beautiful one-handed snag by Devonta Smith on the ensuing drive. Devonta Smith had a couple big plays on that drive, but on 3rd and 22, Jalen says, F it, Smitty down there somewhere. Smitty comes down with a beautiful snag, and Philly is up 28-16. But the Jags, again, they come down with this no-huddle offense. They score in like 3 minutes and force the Eagles to punt. So it's like, oh crap, we are here at 28-23, and the Jags got the ball with under 2 minutes left, and it's like, this is the Falcons game over again. Trevor Lawrence, is he going to be able to just walk down the field? Nakobe Dean, who I tried to tell y'all about, I got some pushback, but Nakobe Dean with the game-winning interception, it was messy, it was sloppy in the second half. I don't know how the Jags made it a game, because it really still feels like the Eagles dominated, but they made it a game. But the Eagles win 28-23. The more important thing, we pick up the victory. Jalen Hurts, I think, was fantastic. Saquon Barkley, fantastic. Devonta Smith stepped up when we needed him. Quinyon Mitchell targeted 1 time. So, I mean, he's got a Revis Island thing going on because teams are just avoiding throwing the ball his way. Cooper DeJean, he's getting better and better each week. Nakobe Dean with a great interception. I still think Philly should trade for a pass rusher either today or tomorrow, but this team is hitting their stride. And again, remember, the defense, while 23 points were scored from the Jags, only gave up 2 touchdowns, only gave up 16 points. So you got to like what you're seeing from the defense. Philly gets a win, and we are on to Dallas. But as always, be sure in the comment section to let me know, what are your biggest takeaways from this game? Fly, Eagles, fly. If you love the Eagles, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.